Hi, I'm Dr. Sharyl Truty, owner of Balanced Physician Care here at the Beaches. And I am here today with Sheri Nicholson, one of my favorite people here in the community. Sheri has been a personal trainer and a posture alignment specialist for over 20 years. And we're here today to talk a little bit about posture. Sheri does personal training here in the community. Her website is SheryNicholson.com, SheryNicholson.com. So tell us a little bit about posture, Sheri. I mean, I know why it's important, right, but what's the bottom line message for people in posture?
Okay, so pretty much it's the physical and the mental side that is important. There's not one that's more important than the other. Mm-hmm. That's the balance of the yin and the yang, the opposites. For posture being good, the health benefits side of it to start with is just being able to identify that my head is above my shoulders line up with my hips line up with my knees line up with my ankles. With that being said, that's pretty much the starting point. That's a vertical stack. That's what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. We're both sides.
Why is posture, like why should people just be even concerned about, looking at doing that vertical stack, to begin with? I mean,
well, because as soon as our body goes out of whack a little bit, or I would say in other words, out of alignment, one right, side's higher than the other, mm-hmm, then all of a sudden you're dealing with so many aspects inside your body, the way that your circulational system works, your digestive system works, right, your muscles and your bones, everything starts to shift. And yet what it does is it poses more issues on one side than the other, because one side will compensate, yeah, for dysfunction in the body.
Yeah, just like posture is sort of like about overall body wellness in a way. It's a very simple thing, but yet it can be very complex. And it's a simple thing that we can work on that can make a huge difference, like you said, whether we're dealing with a musculoskeletal condition, a bone condition, even a stomach or a heart condition. Yeah, focusing on posture could make a big difference, yeah, in people's health overall. So say I've got any of those kinds of things. I mean, where do I start, with posture?
Okay, let's do the head first. Let's just go to the head. So most people that I see that come to me that are having challenges, maybe having problems with their neck injuries or pain, first thing I notice is how much people nowadays are using their head to lean forward. Okay, well, that cervical area has a gentle curve. But that curve was not meant to be so elongated to the point where there's so much stretching going on, right, that it's now that shoulders are trying to literally hold up the head. Right. So, we just start with the head. Let's just pick up our head. Let's put a beanbag on our head. We used to do that as kids. Put a beanbag on your head. Let's see you walk around the room with a beanbag on your head for a little while and see how those muscles in your neck turn out.
Well, so many of us are, rounded forward because so much in our society is always focused, yes, on being rounded forward, on our computers, on our phones. Even when I play basketball, I mean, every athlete sits like this on the bench, right, and so we're always sort of forward very much. And like you said, that's not sort of, ideally, we're too much forward. We need to kind of get that balance back, like you said. Right. Starting with the neck is a very easy place.
Very easy. So then let's take it a notch. Let's go down a little bit. So now we went from the head, and that's that forward motion. Everybody's looking on the iPad. We're doing the forward constant, leaning towards on the computer. So as soon as that head starts to go forward and you're stretching the neck muscles, now we're getting involved in the shoulders. Okay. As soon as those shoulders start to come forward, you just decrease the amount of space in the forward part of your chest. You mentioned heart. Mm-hmm. How about breath alone? Right. You decrease the amount of breath when we start going forward. So then the muscles in your back are starting to stretch. Now you're in the center of your back. All the muscles are starting to pull forward. You're going to try and carry the weight. And then you hear the people who say that there's some back challenges. Well, now we're going into the back. You're leaning in there. That spine is no longer structured going upright. So we're leaning more. Again, every time we lean, what do? We compensate. Something else is going to have to pay for all the little challenges that we're creating in our bodies.
I know, and if we look at a skeleton, as we go into Halloween, I mean, when you take a look at a skeleton, it's upright, and the clavicles and scapula in the back, it's not rounded forward.
No.
That cage is really upright, and our muscles and everything are designed to be optimal at sort of that optimal way or alignment. So absolutely, if you're not in that optimal alignment, then your body hasn't really been designed for that, and so that begins to affect it.
It does.
In the thoracic area.
Oh man, thoracic starts going forward, chest starts coming in. So now we're lessening the load of getting able to get a good breath, which is one of the biggest things that we're seeing is, even younger people are having a harder time with breathing and stuff because everybody's in that forward. Those thumbs are getting lots of exercises. Let's go a little bit deeper for a minute. So now we're working on that spine and we move down towards the lumbar, the lower part, which all of a sudden, you mentioned the leaning part that we use and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of bending from that area, but it's not truly like you're folding from your hips, which if you were really focusing on how your posture was strong, you would be folding from your hips versus the bend forward and rounding your lower back, because then you're asking your lower back to take on the weight.
Okay.
So then what happened to the whole front belly thing? So now the back's going to hold up the belly too. So our structure is starting to fall over. And so a lot of us sit a little bit more than we need to. So we need to come up with designs that help us be able to visually see what we need to stay strong, even seated position. Like right now in the seated position, if we just had feet lined up with knees and the hips lined up with the shoulders, anywhere I turn to talk to you, my body's holding me up at least close to 50-50, which is pretty much the key. So
absolutely. And that low back, is, especially when you're sitting, is so much that core, of where it starts, for that stacking. And like you said, we do spend a lot of time sitting. So what, I think people forget why everybody is always recommending it as a physician, especially a musculoskeletal physician, get up, stand, walk, every so often. Well, why is that? Explain to us what that sitting does to that, psoas muscle and how that then affects us when we're walking or standing.
So in the static position, which just means we're not moving. So here we are sitting. So my load right now is down in my lower hips area, my lower back. So as everything, all those muscles are shortening up right now. So, but the tendency for those muscles is not to be shortened. The tendency is for those muscles to be able not to overstretch, but to be able to open. So as soon as you stand up, so if you're working a job and you have a lot of seated positions, it's very important to stand up and just literally get yourself lined from your feet to your shoulders and just take some deep breath in and let the abdominal muscles open, let the hips open, and again, don't forget about that incredible, wonderful head that we have on top of our shoulders and pick it up. Just pick it up and just feel the difference. As a matter of fact, it's amazing that, it's hard to look miserable when you're sitting up nice and tall. It's kind of hard to frown. In fact, it's very hard to frown. But it makes a difference. So there's your mental side of the posture and how important it is. When we don't feel good, we have that look of not feeling good. Pick ourselves up.
Yeah, absolutely. And when our psoas gets tight from sitting for long periods of time, then when we shift from sitting to standing and standing to walking, that's when people begin to feel, problems in their low back. It's because, this muscle in the front that is supposed to be really stretched out a little bit longer and supposed to have that power. Now all of a sudden it's really pulling everything forward, and that causes, a lot of issues.
Like a cramp. It's stuffy in there. It's not the space that it needs. Its space needs to be healthy and open. Just like the legs. I mean, seated position for a long time, Well, circulation. Think about the circulation in the bottom of your legs when you're seating for a long period of time.
Right.
And your blood needs to be able to continue to circulate, consistently.
Right.
Sitting too long is not consistently circulating what we need.
Right.
Standing up. That's where the dynamic comes in. You have your static of the not moving. Now you have your dynamic of actually moving. It doesn't mean you have to run to get the move.
Right.
Just get up and walk.
Right.
Yeah. Just move around. Just step a couple steps if you have to. If you can't leave the area that you're in.
Right.
Just stand there and stretch your body out from head to toe. So.
Well, and like you said, if we stand and we walk, then these organs that we're sort of forgetting about in this lower abdomen and pelvis, they get massage. That blood flows through there, and that helps to promote that healthy healing all around, rather than sort of being sitting and sort of squished together for long periods of time.
Now, let's talk about the muscles for a minute and the bones.
Yeah.
So, what does that bad posture or poor posture do for a lot of us that sit for long periods of time?
Yeah.
The weight bearing that you're putting on the skeletal system sitting, you're not doing yourself any favor at all, and you're really weakening the muscle.
Right.
And what protects the bone? So all of a sudden, it's just this, you're not doing any justice by doing what we're doing. And if you had to be stuck, even if you're on an airplane for 10 hours, and getting up and sitting down was almost impossible.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, there are so many fun things we could do sitting on an airplane, and they might think you're crazy. It won't call security on that. But you could squeeze your glutes, which is tush muscles. You could pull your belly and release. You could do facial expressions back and forth. You could do shoulder rolls and constantly be using all the muscles protecting that posture.
There you go.
Versus that just seated. You could even wiggle in your chair a little bit and get a little motion going. So, to benefit posture in general, we just need to be moving.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very much so.
Like you said, posture, definitely, plays into movement and standing. We know that bone health is just so important for, gravity and standing and moving is very, very important for bone health. We know that exercise improves our bone health, and women who exercise are less likely to develop osteoporosis because that gravity is, pulling on those bones, and that's stimulating the bone to, strengthen itself in such a way that then it stays strong. So, again, everything in balance. Standing forever and,
could be just
walking
as bad as
forever
sitting
can
forever.
be just as bad as sitting.
Yes.
But, for most of us, honestly, just the way our society is, we probably do spend a lot more time sitting.
We do. So if we go a little bit lower, we're working our way down the skeletal system here, inside and out. So, then there's a lot to be said about what's happening with the knees, what's happening with the hips, of course, what holds up. The hips are holding up, right? The hips are holding up the center of your body.
Right.
That says a lot. Then we're going down to the knees. So when we're looking at our knees, look at your knees in the mirror and just see, when you're standing there, you have to have space enough with your feet to truly support your body. Ladies, your feet just barely open does not support the body. Nobody's hips are that small. Nothing personal, but we're not really that small. We really want to be able to, if you're truly going to hold your posture up and you want it, it's no different than a table. I wouldn't put the four legs of the table in the middle of the table and hope that it's going to support the table. It'd be no different than the body.
Right.
We're back to that structure.
Exact. That structure. It's physics.
It is.
Put, something underneath, to provide support, and it is, you don't want it to be too narrow, otherwise it doesn't. And if it's too far out, it's not going to support it either. And so the way the skeleton, like you said, is structured is that's why whenever anybody does any exams or anything, they always tell you to keep your feet, below your hip bones, because that's the optimal, sort of support position.
It is. And so as soon as you do that, you're taking any extra weight off that wasn't necessary meant for the hips or the knees. I mean, right up front. Rule of thumb for everybody. So if you want to know what is your hip width, just do 2 fists. Just do 2 fists and place your 2 fists in between your knees. That's pretty good for about hip width apart. And then if you will, not with the high heels on, it won't look the same, but if you give yourself a little more space when you're standing just to check your posture, now you're truly seeing what the stacking, what I'm talking about from the shoulders down. You know, our knees are valuable. They really are meant to work. They are meant to take a load. You know, they're not like the shoulders. Shoulder being that intricate little, I always say the golf on the tee. That's kind of a different situation. Right. But, you know, going down to the foundation of our feet, I will have people stand and I look and see that now maybe they've opened their feet up a little bit more, but they're either bringing one foot out to the side or, you know, one foot slightly works its way in. So go to a car for a minute and imagine that the wheel on my back side of my vehicle tire is low. So my car is still going to drive, still going to move, but now I'm going to put so much wear on that back side of the car that it's my brake system. It's going to be all kinds of things that are starting to challenge on that vehicle. It's going to change how my fuel runs, everything. So no different than the body. So as soon as the feet start going other than forward when we're walking with that extra support, all of a sudden there's that whole dynamic change of that perfect structure that we were made, that we were given, and we start changing it. So we want our feet just to be in as important as everything else. Foundation, straightforward. You know, so look and see, where are your feet when you're standing there talking to somebody. You got your right foot way out towards the corner. Bring them in and see what happens. Watch what your hip will do. Your hip will probably be so happy to be able to come back to center and take off the load. It's just, you know, simplifying again, how do we get that nice stack that we got originally.
Well, so stand up. Let's have you stand up for me for a second. And so let's start from the feet and work your way up. And you know, give me one or two main things as a person to focus on, you know, on my posture in each of those areas.
Okay, so if we start with our feet, the first thing I want you to do, again, just do your rule of thumb of the 2 fists. Give yourself that space to know at least your hip width apart. Okay, so now I'm straight forward. Okay, watch what happens as soon as I do what I was explaining to you about shifting one foot. So when I shifted, did you see what happened with the body? I've already moved my weight to my left side. So now my left hip and my left knee is now placing so much weight. There's that weak car. There's that tire that needs a little air in it. All I had to do is put the foot back to the front and I shift back to my center. Right. Okay.
So, you know, that's perfect. So
great.
You know, first thing for people to start with is just practice, you know, standing with both of your feet forward, because I'd be willing to bet that most people, if they stand unconsciously without thinking, their one foot is out, the other foot's out, both of them are out, your weight's on one foot versus the other. So basic place to start, just start standing with both feet in front of each other.
So I just shifted my feet to the out position. Okay, now I'm gonna turn more towards you. So when I shifted my feet towards the out position, the first thing that I felt was my pelvic tilted under, which means I just tucked my tail, not intentionally, but I tucked my tail. So that just put the load of my lower back, and my belly's not having to do the job, my lower back is. Incredible pressure. If I sat here for a long period of time, I'd be really uncomfortable. And I can feel where I'm pulling from here. So the shift brought me back to center again. It's just simplifying, going in there. And great practice is just take the time. Put the foot out, bring the foot in. Take the foot out, bring it in, and see, can you tell the difference? Can you feel the transfer weight from one side to the other? And then can you feel the center of your feet? Right now, the ball of my foot is carrying the weight through my heel. My toes are not holding ground, because if my toes hold ground, that means I'm wanting to go forward. Okay? And I've got my knees open. My knees are not pulled into the end position. If they feel like they're moving inward to that valgus position, I would give myself even more space so that I could strengthen those muscles. Okay? Just allow those muscles to do the job they're meant to do.
So, like you said, stand with both
Stand up.
feet, hip,
Yep, two fists,
hip
width apart.
And, I always tell the kneecap sort of aligned over
Right.
that second toe,
Right.
and that kind of gives you your good posture from your legs down.
So let's move up. Let's go a
Okay.
little bit higher. So we
Yeah.
just did that little bit of that tilt for the pelvic and stuff
Right.
with those feet shifting out, right?
Right.
Okay. So, I'm going to move my feet a little bit more to the inside now. Okay. I'll just do one.
Right.
Just a little bit of that angle. So one's on the inside a little bit more.
Okay.
So it's making me interiorly shift. I'm moving my body into that direction to hold my weight. Okay. Well, so what happens is, so we already have that. That's a lot of weight on that knee, by the way.
Yeah.
So then if I have that challenge where I was explaining where our head and our shoulders, I'm just putting more emphasis on that stressing out that side.
Okay.
But if I chin up, fix foot, I'm going back normal.
Okay.
Okay? So that was just the moving the foot to the inside, which sometimes people will do a little bit more, okay?
Yeah.
So then let's go to the shoulders.
Okay.
This is the big one, okay? So it's not to get into the dynamics of whether it's stenosis or if we have the scoliosis. We don't need to go into that. What we wanted just to say in general is, it's easy to see when that's happening, because if you look in the mirror, I would like very much that if you saw yourself in the mirror, you could see your thumbs, but you can't see all your other fingers.
Yeah.
If you can just see your thumbs, then I know that your shoulders are lined up and my ear would drop down in a nice alignment straight down, okay?
So very simple.
Very simple.
Very simple way to
I don't want to see my whole
align your
hand.
shoulders
Right.
is to just bring your arms
Arms
to
by
your
your
side where you just see your thumbs.
If I brought my hands forward,
Mhm.
so from the side, if I went from here
Mhm.
to here,
Okay.
I just felt my shoulders roll in, and I just lost
Right.
some of that space needed for breathing, okay? I'm taking away that space.
Yeah.
And then it's more likely that if I've got my hands that far to the front now, I've got my head pulled forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so now with that look, right there, it doesn't feel the same mentally.
Right.
All of a sudden, it does make you feel, it has that not so positive feeling.
Yeah.
Like the weight's on my shoulders, literally on my shoulders, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm even challenged with that and I need to be able to force the load back more, if I could practice on trying to work more on my head up, there's more space for breath. And again, we go back to the final, now we have a little more confidence and we do feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
People will think you're thinner.
Yeah.
They'll say, my goodness, you've lost so much weight.
Yeah.
And all you did was stand up.
Yeah. So simple, feet in alignment.
Right.
2 hands in between the knees, and then work your pelvis sort of tucked a little bit under, just a little bit, not too much.
Don't lose your tush.
Right, exactly. And then, standing straight up and just have your hands at your sides.
Yeah.
And maybe, sort of
Look at the thumbs.
Yeah, look at the thumbs.
Not the whole hand.
And then tuck the chin back. And then just by doing those are maybe 4, 5 simple checks
Body check.
that you could do.
Right.
And let's say you did that once a day.
Yeah.
You getting dressed in the morning, or let's say you take your stand break and maybe do it. Just do that quick check. You will gradually sort of, in a sense, pattern your brain and say, okay, I have, we all create, we don't realize it, but we develop bad patterns of movement. Just because, that's we get comfortable, maybe we got an injury, we haven't developed the strength in one part of our body, and so we just develop those patterns. And so we can change any type of pattern in ourselves, mentally and physically, just by putting some focus and some, concentration to it. And so
imagine
here's
the
something simple you
decrease
can do.
of pain, discomfort.
Right.
That will come with just that once a day. I could actually say, if you do a lot of standing or sitting, I mean a lot,
Right.
maybe you ought to do a body check a few times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't try to check your feet forward when you're walking. Okay, let's leave that out.
Yeah.
Let's just say when you're standing and talking to somebody, check your feet out.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, it's kind of fun.
Right.
Check other people out.
There you go.
And see where their hands are, and then kind of go, wow, let me see where their shoulder, oh, where their head is. I see what she's saying.
Yeah.
And be more aware of your own body.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
So we talked a little bit about it, and so posture is important. Again, going back to it's important for the musculoskeletal system. We know that. Our muscles and our body in its infinite wisdom has created agonist and antagonist muscles that are paired together, that are meant to, one shifts the skeleton one way, the other one shifts the skeleton the other way. And when we have one side developed more than the other, then, one side tends to suffer a little bit. And then that's where we begin to have pain and problems, and so we know that from a musculoskeletal standpoint, muscle-wise, posture is important in bringing that balance.
It is, and balance is the key.
Right.
Right back to where we started today.
Yeah.
About the yin and yang and the opposites.
Right.
Your body really is meant to work together.
Right.
It is a system, and it's a great system.
Right. Right. And posture can be really powerful when you have musculoskeletal problems. Even if you're in chronic pain, just making a few adjustments and working on your posture could bring you, quite a bit of relief. And if you're just sort of your average person, sort of always tense and tight, maybe doing a little focus on the posture might make a huge difference. It always feels great to get a massage, and it always feels good to get an adjustment to get back into alignment.
Right.
But there's things that we can do to prevent that.
Right. And those are great things. When you get the alignment and everything, that's perfect.
Right.
But if you go back to your old ways,
right,
then you're going to need a lot more of that maintenance. A lot more than you would want.
Exactly.
So do yourself a favor and really think about that. You mentioned about with a lot of pain, people who really suffer from a lot of pain with the problems in posture. And yes, I do see that a lot when I'm working. And a lot of times I go to the whether sitting down or standing, I would choose to say, if you were a tree, which we are, I think our body is a tree.
Yeah.
Whether I'm sitting here or standing, my feet are going to be rooted in the ground. I'm going to make sure the structure of my tree is healthy and sound.
Yeah.
And that my head is the system that reaches for the sky, like the branches. So from the position I'm in now, I'm slumped a little bit.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be that I would lift my lower back up and arch it to get more posture strength. It would be more about breathing.
Yeah.
I can breathe in from my toes and just think about my toes and just let it go all the way through the body and just lift my head straight up. And then when I exhale and lower down, every time you do that, you are circulating all the way through and down. There's the mental side. That's the visual side of, if I'm unable to do it, can I visualize it in my mind?
Yeah.
I can't lift my right arm above my head to stretch it, but can you see it in your mind? Because if you can, then visualize that and use that to lengthen that body.
Yeah.
So there are your two sides again that we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
the mental and the physical.
Like you said, that brings up a really fantastic point. If you're someone or someone you love is just sitting there, saying, well, I'm weak. I can't even move, or my shoulder's really bothering me, or my knee is really bothering me. I mean, you can visualize that working, and that begins to, sort of set a pattern in the brain. The brain remembers how it's supposed to move and work.
Got great memory.
It does. It does. And even just by that, and it seems like, oh, well, that's kind of a bunch of hoax and a bunch of hogwash. But I mean, if you're really having issues, you'd be surprised that just by working a little bit on visualizing yourself, improving on that motion, how much that could actually get that going. Maybe
Very much
maybe
so.
a part of rehab shouldn't be just doing exercises, but visualizing.
Yes,
You
I
know,
love that part.
as well.
I love that. Well, you think about a baby. When a baby's born and they breathe, their belly is forward, in and out, right?
Right.
Okay, that's perfect breathing.
Yeah.
So what that actually did is every time it opened up, it allowed the organs the space that they
Right.
were designed to use.
Yeah.
So when we said earlier about the circulatory and the digestive,
Yeah.
and how when your posture starts to weaken,
Right.
how that decreases that space.
Right.
Just imagine if you were to visualize in your mind every time you took a breath that you just lifted your belly open and then exhale and gently close, like a balloon opening and closing.
Yeah.
So that visualizing is helping massage the organs. Well, what does that do for posture? It just gives you more space to stand or sit strong.
Yeah.
It's the structure. It's going back to your structure again.
Right.
Breathe correctly.
Yeah.
We're not going to take a little breath from here. You want to really breathe.
Right.
If you can't breathe through your nose because you're stuffing,
Yeah.
take a great and sigh. I think it's great to practice sighing.
Yeah.
We can get into that for a little bit,
Yeah.
But again, this whole process of the body is to give it what it's meant to have, and that is free range to move,
Right.
whether standing or seated.
Right.
Right?
And we talked a little bit about the musculoskeletal system, and we've talked a little bit. We briefly mentioned the bone and how gravity and posture affect bone modeling. I mean, our body is just so amazing. I don't think people realize that it is dynamic every minute of the day. And while you are sitting or standing or walking, your body is creating bone cells and eating up bone cells and adjusting to your environment, minute by minute, second by second every day. And so these things that just seem simple surprise how much the body responds to them. But like you said, moving on into the rest of our body, I mean, I think people don't realize how much posture can affect our organs, like you said, our GI system, our heart, and our lungs. Not only from the space that you mentioned quite a bit, which just having that alignment gives all of our organs the space that they're sort of accustomed to or were designed to have.
Right.
But the field of chiropractic medicine is based on the idea that good alignment of the spine, all the little nerve roots that come out at every level, by giving those nerve roots their optimal space, that helps those nerves to work and function better. When they're pinched and they're irritated, they may not function.
Pain and
discomfort. Exactly. And not only from a muscle standpoint, but there's our entire organ system is innervated by the autonomic nervous system. And so by helping with that, we can by helping our posture helping our alignment, all of our organs could function better just by focusing on that. So something simple you can do.
Body check.
Exactly.
Just check your posture starting.
And if you feel like, well, maybe there might be more, especially if you're dealing with a lot of issues that seem to be stacked on top of each other, because we know when people have back pain, that can lead to shoulder pain, neck pain, or people have neck pain and that can lead to back pain, and people have knee pain and it can bother their shoulder up there. There's a lot of interplay in the body. And so, seeking out a specialist like you, to sort of work with them, from a new perspective. I mean, maybe you've had physical therapy, and maybe you've had, chiropractic work, and maybe you've had massage work, but have you ever really worked with someone on posture and what you might benefit from to do to strengthen that?
See, and that's where, for what I do, the holistic side of this is I want to teach you. My job is not to try and fix you alone. I want to teach you how to look at your body, how to read your body, so that when all of a sudden you say, I have had this most uncomfortable feeling in the left side of my knee, the first thing I'm going to look at your right shoulder and say, well, gosh, my right shoulder is so high up, everything's going straight down the other side of the body. Boy, that makes those IT band awful, I mean, but to teach you how to look and see what's happening with my body. Why is my back so sore? Well, I did sit an awful lot. I didn't do a whole lot of standing like I should have done, or, just the simple things. So that's where the holistic in my approach is when I'm working with people is, I want you to understand why we're doing the exercises we're doing. It's a lifestyle change for a lot of us. Yeah. We thought that the running was the key. Everything was, you go as hard as you could possibly go. But if your posture is not strong, then your athletic ability becomes even more challenged over time. You might be able to adapt for quite a while.
Yeah, I think that, for people who might, be watching this may only be, focused when they have problems, but if they have people they know that are athletes and are performing much, I agree. I don't think that there's a lot of thought given to in athletic performance and performing. There's a lot of thought given to nutrition nowadays more than there used to be, but I don't know if there's a lot of thought given to posture. I mean, we know mechanics are important, certainly.
Right.
But what's the foundation of mechanics is posture. First, you got to get the static posture.
Yes, you do.
Right.
Yes, you
Before
do. The
dynamic, comes into play. It would be a really good idea, And so many adolescents grow so fast, in those years, So, I mean, if you have an adolescent who's actively engaged in sports,
check them out.
Check them out. Yeah. Show them. Maybe it might be worth it to prevent, injuries, especially if they're really serious, to, maybe spend a session or two with you, getting their posture analyzed and, saying, hey, what can we do to make that better? Because that will just lead to injury prevention down the road.
Very much so. And, the other thing, too, that we haven't tied in yet is, we mentioned the muscles and stuff, but so when your posture is not at its best, imagine where your flexibility is. Whoa. Yeah. Let's touch our toes.
Right.
I can't touch my toes. Well, why can't we touch our toes?
Right.
Why can't we do a gentle back stretch with one hand over the shoulder? What's going on with those arms? Start thinking about that. And if there's certain things that you cannot do flexibility-wise, go back to where we started today and look at yourself and see what's happening with my posture that would not allow me the opportunity to be able to extend one leg, stretch it out, and touch a toe.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Right.
So, there's another piece of it. And when we talk about the younger generation, I see a lot of that when I'm dealing with my clients. A lot of the younger kids, they can't. Their flexibility is not good. And then you do an overall check of their posture.
Right.
And again, everybody's got really strong thumbs, but beyond the phalange part of this, going back to full posture, we kind of need everything else to go in line if we want this to all work.
Yeah.
So,
yes. And so there, I think, besides, maybe getting a program or, starting a program, I mean, there's things that people can do, on their own to just, that inherently just help posture.
Right.
We talked about, and I know you're involved a lot in Tai Chi in the community, and, here is something where you don't have to necessarily be, specifically have time devoted to posture. But, just doing an activity like that, where inherent in that activity is, posture. When you're learning Tai Chi, you're learning how to do the forms and walking and moving, and your whole goal is correct movement and correct posture.
Right.
And, yet you're engaged in an activity that keeps your mind busy, and you're not just, strengthening the muscle by lifting weights or bands or something, but something very simple.
So the Tai Chi, the principles of Tai Chi is actually exactly what the principles of posture is. So if we say the principles of the two are the same, in Tai Chi, the principles are, first is the golden thread. That was the upright position with your spine, straight out of the crown of your head. Okay, there's your golden thread. You're lined up straight through the body. Then we talk about weight transfer. Correctly being able to move from side to side distributing the weight evenly as you move and bringing it back to center.
Yeah.
You know, resistance,
Yeah.
knowing that if you push in one direction, your body has to do something in the other direction, the opposite side.
Right.
You know, they use the word song, S-O-N-G. It's an open joint. Well, if everything we did in life were flexed, hyperextending, our joints would not be any good.
Yeah.
We would overstress our joints.
Yeah.
Again, we would lessen the load of helping our posture.
Right.
And then, of course, the focus, which is your mind. So here's your principles of Tai Chi.
Right.
And it's just mainly moving and being aware of where you are and aware of your body.
Right. Yeah.
Which is where we want to be.
Yeah. And you know, I think people don't realize, you know, to the extent that the benefits of Tai Chi can really help with people's health. You know, it is an overall holistic, you know, type of exercise that really at its heart, you know, just helps to improve movement. And as we said, as we're improving that movement and that posture, it helps the whole systems that we talk about, the musculoskeletal system, the digestive system, the heart, and the respiration, because part of Tai Chi is like that. And other holistic exercises are too. Certainly yoga is as well.
Yes.
You know, but sometimes the focus in a lot of practices is not is on, you know, getting the cardiovascular, you know, going by, you know, maybe doing a whole lot of sun salutations, or, you know, working on the, you know, strength by doing a lot of, you know, different plank poses. But yoga can also be done where, you know, like you said, you do it very slowly. Right. It's very much in a flow, and the focus is, like you said, correct posture in each movement. Right. You know, so, you know, I would encourage those of you that are already, you know, into those types of exercises to maybe alter your practice a little, give yourself a little bit of a challenge.
And actually, you'd be surprised because, you know, and just real quick, both Tai Chi and yoga can be done in a seated position. So if you're unable to do it in standing position, you know, there's a modification for everything that we do in exercise. Yeah. So you can do both of those in seated. Yeah. But the really nice blend of that is that you are moving, which is very valuable, and that's good for you both mentally and physically.
So, you know, here now we run the whole spectrum of why posture is important.
Right.
From, you know, young people who may, you know, be actively, you know, engaged in sports and want to prevent injury and improve athletic performance, you know, doing something that is going to help your posture, whether it's a personal trainer like you to improve that, or getting involved in yoga or Tai Chi and really focusing on the posture and how much that can improve that. To, you know, someone who may be, you know, geriatric age, and maybe they can't, like you said, stand for long periods of time, can simply do a sitting exercise. You sure can. You know, people don't realize to the extent of what you can do. And I know you yourself, you know, hold, you know, several different workshops and things like that in the community, where, you know, if people are interested in doing something like that, or they have a loved one who they say, hey, maybe this would be really cool, they could easily check out your website.
Yes.
And or email you and, you know, and set something up.
Yeah, it's for everybody, you know. Again, go back. Everybody's got a body, so we want to do the best we can with what we have. Yeah. You know, so that we can enjoy our life with a purpose. Yeah. It's a nice thing.
So, you know, I don't know if there's any sort of final, you know, thoughts before, you know, sort of wrapping up here. But, you know, we kind of talked about a lot of different things. We talked about, you know, why is posture important? And, you know, posture is important because it can help not only our musculoskeletal system, which I think most people know, you know, for optimum balance, but can really help our pain and improve the strength of our bones. And then it can also help from the internal organ standpoint, digestive system. And then it can help from that mind-body aspect of being balanced. So, those are three really important sort of things why focusing on posture is important: musculoskeletal, organ system, and that mind-body balance. And then, okay, so I'm sold. How do we do a quick alignment check?
Okay, so y'all want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to do your check. I want you to stand up. And I want you to get those feet straight forward. And what was the test we were going to use? 2 fists together, and between the knees gives you about that hip width.
Yeah.
And then I want you to look and see, are you lined up? Can you see all the way straight up? Is something shifting? Do you feel more weight on one side than the other?
Yeah.
Look and see what's going on with your feet. Look and see what's going on with you.
Yeah.
My gift to you is to know how important you are. I mean, I think everybody in this world is very important.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to be happy in their life.
Yeah.
So I want you to take time for you.
Yeah.
Just do the check. See how you look. See how you feel. If you look in the mirror and you sense that feeling of overload, like the weight on your shoulders, and we all know, we've all been there. I want you to lift your chest and lift your heart. Just lift your heart up. You've got a name tag and somebody can't read it. So you're going to lift it up so they can see the name tag better. As soon as you lift it up, I want you just to breathe in deep. And whether you're ready to smile or not, I want you just to put on the smile like they're waiting to take a picture. And it's taking forever. And just keep doing that for a few minutes. And you're going to be amazed at what it feels like when you carry that look. It will make you feel better.
Yeah.
And you're worth it.
Yeah. So quick alignment check. Put your
Absolutely.
feet together, put your hands there, put your thumbs at your side, stand up like you're showing somebody your name tag, and tuck that chin in. And then most importantly, smile.
Thank you.
And look up. Exactly. And wrapping up, like you said, posture is about again, brings us back to that holistic stuff. It's body and mind, and we can actually, if our mood is not good, we can
Carry it
actually
just that way.
change it in a fraction of a second.
Yes, we do.
Just by maybe changing our posture.
Yeah,
We can maybe change a negative thought just by taking 2 seconds to do an alignment check, because we're going to have to let go of that negative thought in order to focus on that alignment check. So before you know it, we're smiling, and life has moved on.
Hide those fingers. Let your thumbs be seen. Yeah. See what happens with those shoulders.
Exactly. So thank you very much for joining us today. Hopefully, we've given you a few things, worth taking home or writing home about. If you weren't able to join us on Facebook Live, or you know of anyone who wasn't, we certainly will have this available on our website at balancedphysiciancare.com. So again, I'm here today with one of, I think, the greatest assets to our community here at the beach, and that's Sheri Nicholson. And she, again, does personal training and is a posture specialist, and does a lot of work in our community with various Tai Chi courses. And so you can find out more about her and more about her classes by going to her website. And again, that's SheriNicholson.com. I'll let you spell your name.
Sure. SheriNicolson.com. If you spell it wrong, I bet you still get it up, though. I'm pretty sure it'll come up.
Yep. And that's Seafoot Wellness.
Seafoot Wellness. Yes.
And my name, again, is Dr. Sharyl Truty. I'm owner here of Balanced Physician Care. We're located here at the beaches, and our practice, we focus on doing a lot of holistic medicine. I'm trained in holistic medicine as well as board certified in family medicine and sports medicine. And we have a fantastic sort of membership-based practice that we do here, and you can learn more about that. We're going to be doing some upcoming webinars on that, as well as doing some upcoming Facebook Live presentations. Our next Facebook Live presentation is going to be September 6th. So come again for our noon time. We're going to talk with one of the ladies physicians who works here in my office. She does a lot on regenerative medicine. So we're going to be talking about anti-aging and sexual health and sexual wellness, and about that sort of conversation that people sometimes don't always want to talk about with our physician. And then we're going to have a Tai Chi workshop here with Sheri on September 26th here at our office, and that's going to be at 6 p.m. And that's going to be a really neat one that we're going to do outside, weather permitting. So again, all these events will be on our website, balancedphysiciancare.com. And if you're interested in our membership, October 17th, we're going to be doing a direct primary care webinar, but you can always check out information again on our website. So again, my name is Dr. Sharyl Truty, owner of Balanced Physician Care. Thank you very much, Sheri, for joining us today. Have a great day.